Hi everyone, Nick here. Today we're back with another F1 2019 weekly event, and as for Formula 1 calendar in real life trundles east to Singapore, we do so as well in the weekly event, so it's the Singapore Grand Prix for us as well. Fortunately, as I said in the league race that I've recently done here, I really like the track, so I was more than happy to have a bit more Singapore in my life. So in terms of this one, it's back to the standard weekly event. You do the practice, you do the qualifying in the multiplayer car, and then you do a race against some other people online, 25% race distance, all very standard really. So as usual, no assists. In terms of the AI driver level, I decided to go for 95 this time. This was just to make sure that the cars were not horrendously slow, but it wasn't going to be too bad. The main challenge though in practice was that it was daytime. Just like in real life, practice session 1 is during the day, which is not that useful as a practice session. It just looks really different. So that was my main challenge at first, trying to actually adapt to, the track looking completely different, a couple of my braking markers not being particularly obvious. But in terms of the actual challenges themselves, apart from constantly invalidating my laps and having to do 2 laps instead of 1, it wasn't really much of an issue. I was able to do most of it in practice 1. Practice 2 thankfully was back at night and I felt much more comfortable. I was able to do some of the other practice sessions absolutely no problem. I actually did all 5 laps because I was kind of enjoying myself. Why not? And my qualifying lap was okay. I got purple, but it wasn't anything really to write home about. So you can see there I'm just missing the 10 points on the team objectives, but other than that, all good. In P3 I decided to go and do a quick lap just to try and get some more confidence at 1:37.4. Not too bad. But for some reason, when I then completed the session, it decided to take 70 points off me for no obvious reason. Apparently I didn't do the qualifying pace session after all. What's all that about? Anyway, into the actual qualifying session now, and my first lap was a little bit of a banker. I wanted to make sure I got one in, and it was a 1:36.5. I was aiming to get into the 1:35s, so that was still half a second off. So I needed to go again, obviously. And this is my second lap and was actually my fastest. But it's also going to be an object lesson in pushing too hard, as you'll be able to see from the fact I've messed up my start of a lap. So into turn 1, we've already lost a tenth, so we're going to try and push a bit, get a nice apex on turn 1. Turn 3 we're actually quite good through there, and we're going to accelerate out there into turn 5, and we're about level with just a little bit of time gained there, a bit more aggressive on the entrance to turn 5, and as such we're inside our personal best by 100th or so. So we're going to go purple, that's good. Exit of turn 7 though is going to be a bit wobbly. It's going to be a good job we actually managed to hold that, but we're going to have lost a bit of time through there. And all of these corners we're just pushing too hard. We are either missing apexes here, we've hit the wall on the outside, so we're nearly 2 tenths down on our previous best, and that's just not what we're after. Again, just not overly good. We're a bit wide there, near to the wall on the left hand side. We've gone through there, we've locked up the outside wheel going through the hairpin, and it's just so try hard. We're just pushing too much, too hard, and it's meant that we are 1.5 tenths off our best and just not doing particularly well. At this point I think I realised I wasn't going to go faster and I was all going to have to do everything on my final run, so I kind of relaxed, and as you can see I'm already up on my personal best there, green top right hand corner. So we're going to go through the last few corners, just going to try and keep it nice and smooth. This is much better, much smoother, a little bit wide there, throw it through the last corner, and we're actually going to improve ever so slightly, 26 thousandths to a 1:36.517. Now that was my second lap. For my third lap I wanted to do it as late on in the session as possible, so I fast forwarded to 2.5 minutes before the end of the session, and at that point I was going to go out. So we start the lap and we've got 12 seconds left to actually start the lap. we're not going to be able to do that. So unfortunately, we've monstered ourselves and are not going to be able to do a qualifying lap. So that's qualifying over after 2 runs. Brilliant. In the end, my qualifying time was good enough for 204th in the world. That's not bad. I did want to do better than that though. As I say, I wanted to get into 135s. And it meant I was second on the grid in the race, which was at daytime. Daytime race, Singapore? What's all that about? Anyway, let's focus on the race itself. See if we can get a good start. And we get the rare good start. We're going to go up the inside into turn 1, take the apex, run out to the exit of turn 2, don't give any room whatsoever. Little bit rude, but hey ho. And then we've managed to get up into first. And we've got to keep an eye on Bub's 80 behind us because he's quite quick. We hit the wall on the outside of turn 5 and he's on our trail. So we put it up into rich fuel, we keep it in hot lap on the ERS just to make sure we can defend. He's going up the inside, we leave him some room on the apex. He's still on the left hand side, so we're going to just keep it tight through here, but we miss the apex, we go really wide. And at one point I thought he was going to try and go around the outside here, but he didn't manage it. We bump over the curb though, that's not the fastest way through there. So we're not ideal here, but this whole next section is pretty much single file. I mean, you're not going to lunge up the inside of there unless you're incredibly ambitious, and I don't think anyone has ever been that ambitious. You can obviously go up the inside of a hairpin there if you're super bold, but Bubs wasn't close enough to me to actually try and get that job done. So we get to the end of the second sector, purple obviously because we're first on the track, so we by definition done the quickest middle sector, and at this point it's looking okay. The idea is just to try and see if we can now break that DRS gap behind us before DRS gets enabled at the start of lap 3. So we're going to try and keep it nice and tidy through the end of lap 1, all through here, just these 90-degree lefts and rights, just keep it tidy and then launch it through the last couple of corners. It's really only one corner, although it counts as 2, and we go through there, fastest lap, and we're just under 7/10 ahead of Bubs. So lap 2 we did the fastest lap as well, and we were able to extend the lead to 1.2 seconds. So that meant that DRS was enabled, but he wasn't within DRS range. So that was really good. Halfway through lap 3, Jeff was suggesting that I could go all the way to lap 7 on my soft tyres I started the race on. Ambitious, as the soft tyres don't really last very well here, but I figured I'd listen to him because that might be a good idea. Unfortunately, by the time I got to lap 5, they were dead. So I had pitted, and I had no pit assist on, and I hadn't practiced the pit entrance. So this is why you should do that. If you are going to try and do a pit entrance without a pit assist, practice it, because that 3-second gap that I had when I came into the pits is now about 2 meters. We also managed to botch up the pit release as we haven't actually gone, so that's not ideal, and we managed to just about keep our lead to the car behind us, so that's good. Of course, now I've got to deal with the exit from the pits, which I also hadn't bothered to practice, and this is a really tight one. I probably should have just gone over a white line or something. You get a warning, who cares, because this is tight and this is slow and this is not good. So we go through here incredibly slowly, but we managed to get the job done. But our lead, that was a nice healthy 3 seconds before we pitted, is gone. Bubs is right behind us, so we're going to go nice and defensive into this one. We're going to use the ERS on high, we're going to keep an eye out on the arrows behind us. We've got one arrow, a little bit of a second arrow, doesn't quite get to being a red arrow though, so he's not super close to us, and we're able to hold on to the place. Now halfway through lap 7 we caught Jacka BR, who had not stopped. He started on the medium tyres and was doing the alternate strategy. He wasn't super fast, but the worrying thing he had was the dodgy connection, and he seemed to keep on dropping through the track like his suspension was collapsing. So every so often he would drop down a few centimetres and you get a load of sparks come out. The most worrying thing though was that he was holding us up, and we didn't want to get held up by him and then have Bubs take advantage of that. So we've had one DRS zone and not been able to get close to him. So this DRS zone we need to get past him. So fuel is on rich. ERS, we've held it on medium. We're going to go through here, we're right on his tail, and we put it into overtake. DRS wide open, and nothing. We're not really able to close in on him. Slipstream isn't helping. We're going to try and go round the outside, but no doing there. And we just haven't been able to get the job done. No point trying to lunge it up there unless you're right alongside. So that's another lap we're going to have to sit behind Jacka in 3rd place. And that's not ideal because it's just going to hold us up. Now fortunately he pitted at the end of lap 8, which then released me to actually be able to try and do some decent times. We've still got Bubs just 6/10 behind, so we needed to put some times in. And lap 9 was actually my fastest lap of a race. I was able to do a 1:41.1, which at the time was the fastest lap. Unfortunately, Bubs was also doing 1:41.1s at the same time, so he was able to stick on my tail. Now at this point in the race, my pace wasn't great. I think I'd lost a bit of confidence and was being a bit cautious going into some of the braking zones, and particularly around the middle sector, Bubs had an advantage over me. Fortunately, I had an advantage over him in the 2 places that mattered, out of the exit of the final corner and out of the exit of turn 5, leading on to the big long straight. If I can get a good exit out of those, it meant I was able to defend. And even though I made one big mistake at the hairpin, locked up and went super wide, I had built up enough of a lead through the rest of the lap to be able to not have him just pounce straight away, so he wasn't able to get through there. By the end of lap 12, we'd started to catch some of the lapped AI cars, so we went past Levasseur there, not too tricky, but it managed to block Bubs a bit there, and that gave me an extra second or so advantage and really took the pressure off me. However, threading my way through the traffic wasn't particularly easy. We've got 3 cars line astern up ahead of us, one of another human who's been disconnected there, and we've got a Tia up in front of us who is going to try and let us go through over the bridge. Not exactly where I'd let you go through, not really confident there, and we have to go round the outside of the hairpin. Not how you're supposed to respect the blue flags there. Probably cost me a little bit of time. Everyone else though was generally reasonably behaved, apart from this guy who decided to make me go round the outside of turn 7. But by that point it was the last lap. I had held my lead. Bubs was a couple of seconds behind me, unbeknownst to me had a time penalty, and we crossed the line to win the race, and a job well done. So in the end we won the race by 5.3 seconds from Bubs, and Renzo Gut, who we didn't actually see anywhere on the racetrack, was a further 8 seconds back. Now that gave us 396,013 points in total. Not too bad. Would have quite liked to get 400,000, that would have been a nice round number, but beggars can't be choosers, especially as that put us 34th in the world at that point. So top 1%, and yeah, I mean, given that I really lacked confidence towards the end of that race and kind of messed up my qualifying as well, I'd take top 34 every single day of the week, no problem. Thank you very much. So I'm quite happy with that. Anyway, that's the end of this video. Thank you very much for watching, and I hope you've enjoyed it. If you did, then don't forget to like the video, and if you haven't subscribed to the channel already, then why not do that right now? It's always hugely appreciated when you do, and you know it makes sense. And let me know in the comments below if you had a go at this weekly event, and if so, how you got on. Were you able to beat my 396,000 point score? Let me know. Until next time, and the next video, goodbye.